All right, so if you're new or returning to the game, a few days ago I made this basic default UI that's a super clean setup and everything is very similar to how fully modded, fully custom UIs look. And I said that I would make a video on the first set of add-ons you can install. So the patch drops today as I'm making this. And whether you're new to WoW or you're coming back, it can be super overwhelming because there are a ton of add-ons people use, and over time you will add more and more add-ons. But this is the order I think that you should go in installing add-ons, from the more simple UI and quality of life based ones to more combat focused or more specific things. So before we get started, let's talk about how you should install add-ons. Now, the mainstream method is using CurseForge, but there are a lot of add-ons on different providers, and also CurseForge is kind of an overlay, and it sort of is too much bloatware for what it is. The method I recommend, and the thing I use to install add-ons, is called WoWup. Basically, you go to wowup.io, and it's the one on the right. It's WoWup with CurseForge. It's a very simple interface where you can search for add-ons here. Now, because it's partnered with CurseForge and uses the CurseForge API, there is supposed to be an ad here. Not this. Oh, there it is. WoWup is super lightweight. It's not an overlay. There's no bloatware. It just does what it does, and it does it well. And the first one that I actually already have installed is Advanced Interface Options. So Advanced Interface Options, and again, if you've been playing the game for a while or you've seen my past add-on videos, a lot of these will not be a surprise, and you would have seen pretty much all of these already. But typically I've found that people don't go looking for last patches or last expansions videos when the new expansion comes out, even though it'll still be relevant and it'll still have a lot of the same things. But yeah, Advanced Interface Options is very simple. There are a lot of settings in the game that you have access to, but the game doesn't tell you you have access to. A very simple one is the way to turn on and off healing or damage numbers. Those are the numbers that pop up when you're in combat. Now, this can be done by default with a script that you put in chat, but with Advanced Interface Options, you basically just go in and check a box. And it is also nice if you're doing reputation farms and stuff like that, because you can have reputation changes as a floating combat text on your screen. Again, nothing new, just settings that the game already has that it hides from you for whatever reason. The second set of add-ons I think you should install are two add-ons. They're Plumber and LeatrixPlus. So LeatrixPlus and Plumber do a lot of things. They're both quality of life add-ons, so by default when you install them, nothing new happens. However, if ever you've wanted to, let's say, automate quests, or auto-accept summons, or auto-accept your res, or sell things automatically, or repair automatically, things like that, LeatrixPlus is where you'll go when you just think, I wonder if there's a setting to make insert thing here easier. Chances are it's available in LeatrixPlus. It also lets you block certain social actions, and it lets you, if you're grouping with friends, auto-accept the friends queue. So if you're grouping random dungeons, or if you're queuing for Mythic Plus with friends, you can auto-accept your friends' request to queue you for something with the queue from friends here, which is really nice. And Plumber, again, nothing revolutionary. It isn't changing your experience that much. It's just adding a little bit of quality of life. So for example, one really nice thing that Plumber does is if you open your bags, let's say I want to track how many health stones I have, but I don't want to have to find it every single time. I can drag it down here with Plumber, and then all of a sudden, that's actually not health stones, it's mana oil, but all of a sudden it's being tracked down here. Again, really simple things. LeatrixPlus and Plumber, they're not intrusive. They don't like change the game. You're not ruining your experience too much. You're not breaking your immersion. It's just adding quality of life and some nice settings that you may find use of. Now, the next set of add-ons I think you should have, and this is a pairing of add-ons that I think I've recommended in every single add-on related video, and I will continue to as new people see it because it just should be in the base game and this is how the game should function. The famous two add-ons of BlizzMove and NoAutoClose. Both of those are one word. So BlizzMove is one word and NoAutoClose are all those three words smushed together if you're using WoWup to search. BlizzMove and NoAutoClose do two things, and they do it really well. It allows you to have multiple windows open so they don't close each other and they function similar to desktop windows. And then with the addition of BlizzMove, you can move them around again, just like desktop windows. You can also control mouse wheel to rescale them, and then you can control right click to set it back to where it was, and then you can shift right click to set it back to where it was in case you lose a window. A bonus thing is in BlizzMove settings, go to global config here, and you can set it so by default, it will reset. So if you move this around and you log off and you come back, it'll be back to where it should be default. However, in the BlizzMove global config settings, you can set it to remember permanently. That means that if you always want your character screen to open next to your bags, you can line them up perfectly. And then now every single time you open and close your character screen, even if I hit a quick reload here, you'll see that it'll come back to where you put it and where you left it last. Now, if you're new to the game and you're going to venture into Mythic Plus or raids at any difficulty, there are two core add-ons, or technically three core add-ons that you absolutely need. Everyone will have it. I'm sure 95% of the player base has these add-ons installed already. And the first one is Details Damage Meter. Blizzard has no way in-game of letting you know your performance or giving you any way to review how you played or how you did, how much damage you did. That's not in the game at all. The only way to find out is through an add-on like Details. So when you install Details and you reload for the first time, you'll get this window. I recommend, if you're using my setup, to go into edit mode so you can see where there are elements right now. And I would recommend putting the Details window probably on the left here if that's where you want it, or maybe in this dead space here on the right, to the right of your target. You can pretty much put this wherever you want. You can even shrink it down to fit in something here so there's no overlapping elements. And then if ever you want to change what it does, you can right click on the title here. There's a whole bunch of different options, or you can even right click in on any one of these bars to bring up a little quick action area that you can then add other menus should you want to quickly access something here. And the next add-on that's absolutely crucial if you're going into combat in any group content, or even solo content, as long as you're entering combat in an instance. And that is my recommendation of BigWigs, which is this one. And then if you're ever going to enter a dungeon, LittleWigs as well. Now you could also, as an alternative, install Deadly Boss Mods or DBM. I don't use DBM, so they're identical. BigWigs, LittleWigs are identical to DBM. They do the same things. It's just a matter of which one you prefer. Now, when you install BigWigs for the first time, it will not be in your actual interface options. It's only accessible via the minimap or if you type /BW. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is go to Options, BigWigs, and Bars and click Create Test Bar. And then you can also click Show Moving Anchors. So there'll be two anchors that pop up on your screen. The first one's for bars. This is for mechanics that are 11 or more seconds away by default. And then emphasized bars are for mechanics that are coming up 11 or less seconds. What you can do is spam create test bar a bunch, and you can see what it would look like if a bunch of boss mechanics are coming up. And again, it might be helpful to open edit mode for the default game so you can see where you have free space. And as I spam create test bars here, I'm thinking to put my bars over here, and maybe the emphasized bars right in the middle of my screen at the top, just so I see it popping up whenever something's about to happen. And the other thing you need to do is do the same for messages. So open the anchors here, and then I can create a bunch of test messages. And whenever you click create test message, it will also make a noise so you can see the audio of BigWigs. BigWigs does follow the master audio channel, so you'll have to lower your entire WoW's sound if you want BigWigs to be quieter. And in my opinion, the default anchors for where these messages are is already pretty good, so I won't really change anything about that. Now, BigWigs and Details, I think, are the only two add-ons that are like super crucial for if you're going to do group content for the first time. And I'm even willing to accept the argument that Details technically is not crucial, but you can control click the Details minimap icon to temporarily hide it. It will still collect data, and that data will be able to be viewed after combat. And you can always control left click again to bring it back up if you don't want it to be distracting you in combat, which I totally respect. Now, the final two add-ons are actually ones that add a totally new function to the game. So the first one is called TomTom. Now, TomTom is the add-on named after the GPS maker company people. So the function of TomTom are two things. Firstly, it displays your coordinates in-game with a little movable window here. I usually just slam that to like the bottom right or somewhere really far away. And it gives you the ability to add waypoints for yourself. So if you right-click the coordinates, it would add a waypoint on your map. And then it'll also have this movable arrow that will point you towards your waypoints. And then you can right-click this arrow to open up the waypoint menu and remove all the waypoints, or send the waypoints to your friends if they also have TomTom installed. Probably your most common use for TomTom will be if you're looking up achievements or quests. So for example, this Khazalgar Lore Hunter achievement requires you to go click a bunch of things in the world. And your ways to do this would be clicking on the YouTube videos and seeing where people are, and then trying to get to that same location by looking at the video and your game at the same time. TomTom makes this a lot easier. So usually people post the coordinates, but they also post these commands. You can click on this in any Wowhead comment section and copy all TomTom commands, and then you go in game and you do /tt paste, gives you a black box. You paste that what you just copied from Wowhead, click paste, and then now in game there are these markers all over your map. And if I go to different zones, you can see in all the zones there are these markers. That's where the objects are. And then I can click any single one of them and right click and set as the waypoint arrow, and then now I can follow where this is, and it will lead me directly to the clickable item. Now, I've already done this achievement, so the item won't be there, but this is the use for TomTom, and this is probably what you'll use TomTom for the most. Again, this is another one of those add-ons that 99% of the WoW player base probably already uses, but if you're new, you may not be aware of this, and a lot of the times when people are giving you instructions in-game or in guild chat about how to get to somewhere, they give you coordinates, and it's for this add-on, TomTom. All right, you've made it to the end of the list, and there's one more crucial add-on I think that you might like to install. So this one is called Krowi's Extended Vendor UI, or you can just search up Krowi's Extended, and it's this one right here with 58,000 downloads. And this does exactly what you would think it does, and it's really, really useful for if you're playing on either a very small screen like a laptop or a very big screen like a 30+ inch monitor. So with Krowi's Extended Vendor UI, when you open vendors, there will be a new option setting here, and you can set the amount of rows and the amount of columns. So I can make it super tall, or I can make it super wide. This means that if you have vendors, like for example, the current Dell vendors that have a ton of pages by default, if you open it with Krowi's, everything's nicely on one page. However, if you had it on the default in-game 5x2, or I think it's maybe 6x2 default in-game, you can see everything's on multiple pages. But with Krowi's, that's a very simple add-on that just gives you the ability to resize vendor things for if your screen is too small or if your screen is too big. And as you can see, pair it with BlizzMove, you can move it around. Control mouse wheel, I can make it big if I'm on a tiny screen. It's just great. But yeah, these are all the add-ons that I would recommend you first install, and I think this gives you a really, really solid base. You have add-ons to change all your in-game settings that might be hidden. You got a couple of quality of life add-ons. You got the core combat, raid, mythic plus add-ons that people expect you to have. You get the quality of being able to move your windows, TomTom, so you can hunt rares, treasures, do achievements, stuff like that. And then the nice touch of Krowi's extended vendor, so you can actually see all the things that a vendor has, and it makes it a little less annoying to look for something to buy. But yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to update this video. Again, I'll try to make a video like this every single tier if the add-ons change. Hopefully you enjoyed the new season, and let me know if any add-ons you think that new players should install that I missed. That's all for now, though. Later.